Greetings and thanks so much for tuning in to the Barbara Dean Franklin Show, Real Talk, Real People. I am your host, Barbara Dean Franklin, and today I have the awesome pleasure of sitting with my girlfriend, Councilwoman Brenda Jones. How are you, Brenda?
I am blessed by the best.
Amen.
How are you, Barbara Dean Franklin?
I am blessed as well, and I want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule to come and sit with me, to talk to my public, your public, to tell them about some of the things that you're doing in the city and what's going on. Before I start talking about that, I want to share with people our relationship because we work together, Michigan Bell, SBC, Ameritech, AT&T.
And we've had a lot of names since then.
For real, for many, many years. You being the president of the union, me having a call center, we sat together, partnered together, blessed the people, in that place, saved many jobs together, but we did a partnership, quality of life, tried to speak life into the life of the young folk that were up under us. And so for that, we always had a great partnership, and I thank you for all that you did as the VP, and thank you for all that you're doing in the city of Detroit.
And I will always thank you because, so often people don't know how they touch each other's lives, and you definitely touched my life.
Thank you.
Most of the time people think when you have union and you have management, you cannot work together, and we definitely
proved that wrong.
Together.
Yes,
we proved
did.
that wrong,
yes,
and I just want to say God is good. And they always say God put people in your life for a reason or for a season.
Yes,
and I am so glad He put you in my life, and it definitely was for a reason.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the first thing that I want you to explain to people is tell us exactly what Councilwoman at Large means, because a lot of people don't know.
Okay, let me say also long for many years, city council members were chosen and represented the complete city, the whole city of Detroit. It was 9 council members, and 9 council members represented the complete city of Detroit.
Okay.
Well, just recently with the new charter, the council was broken up and the city was broken up in 2 districts.
All right.
So there are 7 districts in the city of Detroit. Now there's still 9 council members, and so the other 2 council members are at large.
All right.
And at large actually mean that we will be just as we were before. We will continue to represent the entire city of Detroit as opposed to just a district.
All right. Okay. Right. So that's good. So I know I'm in District 7, and Gabe Burton, I think it is running for council in that particular district. So it doesn't mean you're not assigned to a specific district, but so it's whoever's running over District 7 and whoever wins that position. Well,
let me stop you because you said Gabe Burton. Let me say that there's 2 names on the ballot, and that is Gabe Burton and John Bennett in District 7. Those are the 2 people that are representing District 7.
Okay, and that's why I said, so whoever wins District 7, like your council at large, you're still over all of the city. Are they going to be just only specific to District 7?
Yes, and let me say this. We said Gabe Burton. Let me change that. It's Gabe Leland. His father's name is Burton.
Right, exactly.
His daddy is Burton Leland. Exactly. So it is Gabe Leland. And also often we have been saying Burt. Right. But that's his father's name.
Yes. Yes. Because that's who I remember him being there for so long. So again, I'm just trying to find out with the people that are running in the district. So whoever wins the district, they're over the district. The council at large is still over all the entire city.
And so what the at large will do is we'll continue to represent the entire city and work with the 7 district council members.
Okay, so I think that's a good thing. So instead of everybody concentrating on one thing, so they get a little extra help from the 2. So are there, how many at-large members are there?
There will be 2, and there are currently 4 names on the ballot. And we talked about District 7. The 4 names that are on the ballot for at-large is, of course, Councilmember Brenda Jones, and I am an incumbent. Santil Jenkins, Councilmember Santil Jenkins, who is also an incumbent. And then you have Roy McAllister, who is running. And then you also have David Bullock, who is running at large. And so what will happen is you will vote for one person for your district, and then you can vote up to 2 people at large. And I say up to because also often people, when they go vote, they see a number. You do not have to vote for that number. You can vote for 1 or you can vote for 2.
But no more than the number that you see on that particular ballot.
Correct.
So, so you're out and about and you're campaigning. The day to vote is?
The day to vote is Tuesday,
okay,
November the 5th. That is always the first Tuesday of November. And let me just also say that they also have absentee voting. And that is at the Wayne County Community Colleges, and I believe that it starts on October the 21st. And that is at Wayne County Community College, the Northwest Campus on the Southfield Freeway and Outer Drive. And also the East Campus, which is on Connor for 94. And then you can also go and do absentee voting down in the elections on the West Grand Boulevard.
Okay, great. Now with the election that is coming up, and you're on the ballot. Like, what is your campaign day? What does it look like for you? What do how do you get out to meet your constituents and talk to people? What do you do?
Well, you know what? I'm thankful to God because one of the things that I can say is for the last 8 years, I have been out communicating with constituents in the community. And so, that was important to me because also often you do not see your elected officials until it is time for them to vote. And I vowed to myself that I would not do that. And so I am out in the community at least 5 days of the week, most of the time 7. I am out in churches because everybody don't go to their community block club association meeting. So I'm out in churches as well. So I go to churches, I go to block club meetings. People see me in the store, they want to talk to me in the store, and of course they say, I know this is not the right place, but if that's the place that you see me, I'm a public servant. So you ask me what you need to ask me when you need to ask me.
That's great. That's great. You were talking about, being out and about, and I think that it's good that you are approachable, and you also know that, sometimes when you're not the only candidate or constituent or the people, it's we the people who vote you in, so we the people who you serve, so that's a great attitude to have at all times. So what can, like for the things that are going on within the city, like what would you like people to know about Councilwoman Brenda Jones, the integrity in which you do your job, the passion in which you have for the people? Tell us something about you that maybe other people don't know. Tell us about your love for this city, or why you do what you do.
Well, you said that we worked at the phone company together, and one of the things that while at the phone company and as president, I was helping people. And you talked about how we help save jobs, and that's so important to me. Jobs are important. Jobs are most definitely important. And while I was at the phone company, and I don't know if you remember, I was an entrepreneur. I had a women's shoe store. So, and I know that opportunities exist in this city. And so one of the things that, people say, Brenda, what are you about? And I say Jones. And they say, what is Jones? Jobs, opportunities, neighborhoods, education, and safety.
Well, you say that. Say that again.
Jobs, opportunities, neighborhoods, education, and safety. And those are the things that have been important to me from day one. From day one when I ran 8 years ago, 9 years ago, those were the things that I said, these are the things that are important in the city of Detroit, and these are some of the things that we need to focus on. And those are the things that I have been focusing on the last 8 years I have been on council. I say to people, I have longevity. I am the longest serving with experience on the ballot. So I have been there 8 years. The people on the ballot, we know we will have many new faces because we're now actually have 6 council members. So we're down 3 council members. And so I say to you, I'm very stable. Stability, 8 years. I have experience. I have served on every committee on council with the exception of one. So we have standing committees. I have either served as chair or vice chair on all of those committees. the city is so important to me. I have chaired Keep Detroit Beautiful.
All right.
I've always said that we have to look at the curbside of the city of Detroit, and so we have to make it beautiful to keep it beautiful. And we have so much going on, but Detroit is really a beautiful city.
It is.
And it's a unique city. You know, we have things that many cities don't have, such as a Belle Isle, which was just signed over a lease to the state of Michigan to take care of. But we have Belle Isle in the city of Detroit. We have a gorgeous riverfront.
Yeah.
So it's just so much we have in Detroit. Detroit is a unique city. We are very diverse in Detroit, you know, and so that's important with going into districts, because you have people that are in districts, and when you talk about diverse, that being diverse, you have the diversity that is coming in.
Right.
So I love Detroit. I love my city.
Yeah.
I love the people in Detroit. I love what I do. I love being a public servant, and I will continue to serve with integrity.
Amen. Amen. Well, you know, I can attest to that because I worked with you, you know, for many years, again, at AT&T. So I know that, I'm sure that you did not leave one position to go into another position and just change your MO, you know, all the way. So I know that you are for the people. What can you tell us? And I want you to know I wore my Always Detroit shirt, you know, to represent, since I knew I would be sitting with you today. And again, I'm really thanking you because I know you're very busy. But what can you tell the people of Detroit? Because I hear you talking about curb appeal, beautification, you know, things that are going on in the city. But there are some responsibilities that we as citizens, that the people of the city, that we need to do. You know, I did a 6-week cleanup, and I know people probably saying, I'm so sick of hearing her say that, you know, but in my community, I passed out newsletters, and I say, hey, let's, you know, because we are living in this environment, we don't have to, you know, live like we're thrown away, you know, but one thing for sure, nobody's coming to save us if we don't try and save ourselves, you know, so let's keep up our neighborhoods. I was thinking about having a project called Can Do, putting a garbage can on every corner in the neighborhood, letting the kids paint it, or, you know, and then they keep it up, take the bags out once a week, time up when the garbage people come over. Because what can we do to excite the people in the city to help, you know, not just look for public servants to do everything? Give us some hope to come back so we can help bring our city back.
You know, and I'm glad you asked that question, and there is a lot that, just like you just talked about, cleanup. You know, we do have a Keep Detroit Beautiful Day in June, and I think it's the first Saturday in June, where we have been giving out flowers to the community, free flowers for the community to decorate and just keep their area looking good. But you said, what can we do now? You have Angels Night that's coming up, and that's one of the things that I have always pushed. I've been out there every Angels Night patrolling, and you know, Angels Night, the crime really, it goes down tremendously. The fires go down, and so Angels Night, I say, it's once a year, and it's nearly around Halloween. But I say Angels Night should be more than once a year. I think we should look at doing Angels Night at least quarterly if it's going to stop the crime, because that's one of the big things that we know has been a problem in Detroit, crime. So what I have also been pushing is CB Patrol. And I think that's something that every community can get involved with, is CB Patrol, because most of the time when you have crime occurring, it's somebody in your neighborhood that's watching you. And if you have your neighbors that are doing patrol and they know that you can identify them, that crime is less likely to occur in your neighborhood. And so anybody can get involved in their neighborhood with CB Patrol. Sometimes that only requires you to do whatever you can do, even if you can just patrol your neighborhood for 1 hour. 2 hours, whatever you can do. And definitely, you know, garbage cans is always important, because like I said, curbside appearance is very important. And that was one of the things that I tried to do, was say, can we put more garbage cans out in the community, because you are less likely to throw something down on the ground if you see a garbage can there. So that's a good idea. You know, so often, Barb, we say the children are our future. I say the children are our now. Because if we don't get them past now, there is no
No
future. And we need to start training them now. And when you talk about starting off with the children, that is such a great idea, because you'd be surprised how children will make will want to be involved, but they make their parents more responsible. Because you'd see if a child knows don't throw anything on the garbage, and they see their parents about to throw something on the garbage, they'll say, "Mommy, you can't throw that on the ground." And the parent will start putting it in the garbage can. So that's a good idea.
I think that you touched on something, because I live right across the street from O'Shea Recreation Center, and the O'Shea Recreation Center has been closed now for some years, but prior to them closing, they had the CB control. We had a more active block club. I don't know where the block club president, person is, but it just seems like, we were more involved. When I walked around with the flyers and was handing them out to people, it was amazing to me that the neighbors were like, "Oh, nobody's going to do anything in the community." And when 200 flyers, nobody showed up, but it got clean, from 96 to Capitol and all the way up to to Foyer, because I had my friends coming from the suburbs. They came out, they helped me clean up, and people would stop like, "Why are you doing this?" I live in the neighborhood. So that's why I'm doing it, because I care, because I can, and people made commitments that, okay, well, the next time you're out here, we'll come and we'll help. Or some people donated bags or, did different things like that. But we have to take the responsibility to do something. I mean, we hold our public service accountable, because if we vote you into office, we want to make sure that our voice is heard through you.
Exactly.
And then if we want to make sure our voices are heard through you, then we have to show up at the meetings. We have to be respectable. We have to be able to communicate in a non-threatening, type manner. We need peace and order in everything it is that we do. So what do you see coming up for, with this election, with everything that's, we hear so much negative stuff about Detroit. Give me some good news. Tell me.
Well,
something.
Let me just start off. And you said with this election, I think it is so important that people go out to vote.
Okay.
People have to realize that people died. People died.
Well, they're right, yeah.
For us to have the right to go out and vote. Right. And so people are very complacent now, because they say we have an emergency manager. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. First of all, it does matter.
Right, it does.
It truly does matter. Even with the Public Act 436 being here, if it's not repealed, and I am hoping and praying that it will be repealed. There are 2 lawsuits that have been filed, and so we're waiting on those lawsuits, but hopefully it will be repealed. But even with Public Act 436 being on the books, the emergency manager is only going to be here for 18 months with 5 council members.
Right.
And the mayor saying, bye-bye.
Okay.
Goodbye. We can now handle our own business.
Right.
So it's important that you go and elect those people who listen to what you say, who listen to how you feel. Detroit voted overwhelmingly that they did not want an emergency manager.
Right.
It was also voted at the state level that they did not want an emergency manager. What did we do? We ended up with an emergency manager. It's time to start practicing now. Go out and vote in 2013 so you'll know exactly what to do in 2014, and put the people again in office who represent you. I say I am the citizen's voice because I listen to what the citizens say. I listen to what the citizens say. I'm out there talking to them and what they say, because again, I'm representing them is what's important to me.
Right. And we know that, it's always that saying that Rome wasn't built in a day, that it's going to take time for us to get back. We have to be consistent in everything that we do to build the city back up to where it needs to be. And when I talk about the city of Detroit, and I know that when you talk about the city of Detroit, you are not talking just downtown. We're talking the entire city of Detroit, because we need to concentrate on our inner city, because sometimes people feel left out that, the District 7s, 2s, 3, I don't know all the different districts, but there are 7 districts, right?
And it goes 1 through 7.
Okay.
1 through 7.
Yeah, so we need to really, as a people, we need to hold our elected leaders accountable, to make sure that they're accountable to do the things that we need to do. But if we're going to bring ideas, we need to bring good ideas to them and do it in a, not shoving, pushing, shouting kind of manner, not that militant style thing that, people are doing. It is time for a coming together of the minds in this great city of Detroit, and I know that you are the citizens' voice, you are out and about. I looked at your website, and it's funny as I'm reading that's what you said, that you are your citizens' voice. So, when you say something, when you're telling the truth, you don't have to remember, what you say, because you say it, you practice it, you walk it. And I really like that, Jones. Give that to me one more time, because that's good.
Jones, jobs, opportunities, neighborhoods, which you just talked about.
Okay.
Jobs, opportunities, neighborhoods, education, and safety.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about education, because I know a lot of the schools are closing down, but then they're building up new schools as well. I drove down 2nd and I looked at Cass Tech, and then somebody that I was riding with told me that Mumford has a new school, and I know where McKenzie used to be, there was a new school over there too. So as the city council, are you involved in education system?
We are not directly involved. Let me say that I'm a proud graduate of Detroit Public Schools, Cass Technical High School.
Okay.
Very proud graduate. But as you know, now there is an emergency manager that is in place for the school systems. So we are not directly involved with the school systems, but I think that we should all be involved with, when we talk about education, we all need to be involved. Now, one of the things that I have done since I've been on council was bring North Carolina A&T here, because also often our children cannot travel out of state. They don't have the funds to travel out of state, but they are interested in going to colleges out of state. And so in my tenure during council, North Carolina A&T has been here. They recruited high school students. They gave scholarships to high school students from the city of Detroit to go to North Carolina, and I've met many who have graduated, who left Detroit and who have went to North Carolina A&T and have graduated. And so it's important that we focus on education. We know that it's hard now to even get a job with a bachelor's degree.
Most definitely.
So let's not just talk about getting a job with a high school diploma. So staying in school is important. Going to college is important. But for those, again, that are not interested in going to college, I have that skilled trades task force so that they can get involved with the skilled trades.
So how, if somebody is looking at the show who wants to know about the skills trade task force, how do they contact you or get information on that?
If someone is looking at the show and they want to know about the skilled trades task force and also the Veterans Task Force, I also chair the Veterans Task Force. So if someone is a veteran, they can feel free to call my office. My office is 313 224-1245. Again, that's 313-224-1245. I am located downtown Detroit in the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center on the 13th floor, so they can feel free to call the office, come by the office. Also, I'll invite people to come to council meetings. As I've told you, I've been on almost every committee there is on council, and so I am in committee meetings on Monday at 10 a.m. On Tuesday, we do our formal at 10 a.m. On Wednesdays at 10 a.m. We have council meetings. I am there. There's a committee meeting on Thursday at 10 a.m. I'm not there on Thursdays because I'm also a trustee to the Detroit Police and Fire Pension Board, and so I'm in the pension board meeting on Thursdays.
So now those meetings that you were just talking about, they're open to the public?
They're open to the public.
And you would encourage the public to come down to the meetings, to listen to what's going on,
Most
to use their
definitely.
voice as a.
Most definitely.
When you talk about veterans, because you said that about the veterans, and I did a show with Richard Chapman. Do you work
Yes,
with him?
I definitely know Richard Chapman.
Okay.
I truly know Richard Chapman. As a matter of fact, they came to me
All right.
and said, will you be the chair of the Detroit Veterans Task Force? And we cannot talk about how much our veterans have given to us.
Right.
And so I was happy to say, yes, I will be the chair of the Veterans Task Force. And so the Veterans Task Force, we meet on the 13th floor. Again, they can call my office to find out the meeting dates. And we meet every month.
Okay.
Right now, we are looking at doing a Detroit job fair for our veterans. There have been job fairs, but they have been out of the city. And the Detroit Veterans Task Force was not one to put it on, but the Detroit Veterans Task Force is looking at doing a Detroit job fair in the city of Detroit. Also, Richard Chapman, he's a awesome young man, so I definitely know him. He does attend the Detroit Veterans Task Force, and we encourage the veterans to come out. There will be a Veterans Day parade that many people don't know about. Everybody is out there for the Thanksgiving parade, but they should come out for the Veterans Parade as well. My understanding is there's like 1,200 students, our OTC students that will be participating in that Veterans Day parade, which will be held on November the 9th, Saturday, November the 9th, and it starts on Woodward, and they can call my office for that information as well. And again, that number is 313-224-1245.
Okay. Well, I just always love being in your presence. But what I want you to do, and I always ask all of my guests to do this, is that, I want you to take a moment to look into the camera over here and just kind of speak to the people that are looking. Tell them something that they may know about you. Tell them something that will give them hope for the city of Detroit. How we are a great city. Don't give up on us, and just come encourage somebody right now.
Detroit, as I've indicated to you, also often we feel there is no hope. There is hope. Detroit is a great city. I say to people, we have someone who's coming to the city of Detroit just downtown and who's purchased roughly 25, 30 buildings. If Detroit was not a great city, no one would come into Detroit to purchase that many buildings. I often think of being a child. And when I was a child, I had a penny. I did not spend that penny on a bad bubble gum.
All right.
I did not buy a bad bubble gum. And so no one is going to spend, and when you talk about a billionaire, no one is going to spend their money on something that is no good. So know that Detroit is the greatest. Detroit is the greatest. We get a lot of bad publicity, but when people come to Detroit and they travel around Detroit and they meet the people in Detroit, they don't understand why we get such a bad publicity. So all the people that I've met that have been from out of the city of Detroit, out of the state of Michigan, they've said, I love Detroit and I will be coming back. Not to mention, go Tigers.
Okay. Yes, go Tigers. Go Tigers, go Tigers. I'm not a fan, but I was looking at, we are in the playoffs now, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so
that
hey,
is correct.
anything is possible. Anything is possible.
There is no impossible, Bob. Through God, all things are possible. And I say that because when I ran the very first time, everyone said that it was impossible for me to win because nobody knew who I was. And it was roughly 127 candidates on the ballot for 9 seats.
Right.
And so there is no impossible.
Well,
you can achieve anything you want to achieve.
Most
so
definitely.
People, that's also something to remember about the city of Detroit. There's no impossible about Detroit.
Right.
So many people have hung in Detroit. They've stayed in Detroit. They could have moved out of Detroit, but they have stayed here. So there's a great love amongst the residents for the city of Detroit. And so we will have the Detroit that you want to see.
Amen.
Just don't give up. Participate in the process. And Detroit, #1, is the greatest. Thank you again, Bob Franklin, for allowing me to come and sit and chat with you. This has been a great conversation. It brings back old times.
All right, and it really does. And I thank you again for taking the time out your busy schedule. 30 minutes is never enough time, so we will get back, together and sit down again, maybe after the next time. I want to thank my public. I'm going to end the show the way I always end the show, telling you from my beating heart to your beating heart, I love you, you understand, okay.